What's going on, buddy? Soda here, and today we are back with another video, and today we're looking at Barb Season 19 GR, where I did a 147 clear. Now, this was a very different rift compared to others. In this video, I'm not only going to show you my 147 clear, but I'm also going to explain you everything I'm doing, so that you might learn something from this, so you can also execute this build even better. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do find it useful, make sure to hit that like button, and without further ado, let's get into it. Now, this rift is pretty different than what you would typically see for a Barb clear of this difficulty. Normally you would see people getting like back-to-back fishing or back-to-back battlefields, but this time around I'm gonna show you something a bit different. The first map here is pretty good. I have a really good mob type, and the map is decent. It's still not the best, but it's pretty decent. But wait until you see map 2 and 3. They are what you would describe as pretty bad. Especially map 3 is terrible, but I'm still able to actually clear this just using the correct strats, and I'm gonna show you how I did this. So to start off with on this map, I'm looking for probably doing 2 pulls here. So first pull, I want about 150 or 200 mobs in. I can then pop my kill streaks, and then I can reset them afterwards. So you see I have this pull here. All I gotta do now is kill 15 mobs, and then the kill streaks will do everything for me and kill the rest, and potentially also the elites if I get a bit lucky. So in terms of your playstyle, what you want to do is you want to keep your berserker rage up. You want to make sure that you have your wrath and your bind of might up at all times, which means using your winter smash at least like every 6 seconds or so. And you of course also have your spear in order to pull enemies together and make your bigger pulls. Now, I'm coming up on 15 kills in a second. It should probably happen next lightning rotation. So all I really want to do is make sure that I'm positioned well, so that the kill streaks will kill everything for me. Now, as you can see, we hit 15 kills, and we immediately jump to about 140, and we also get 150, and we kill 2 of the packs with the 150, which is really nice. Now, I've killed everything here, so all I want to do now, I want to make a new pool, but I also want to reset my stacks, because I want to make a similar pool again. Now, I see a conduit here, and some players would immediately just click the conduit. I'm not going to do that. I want to make sure that I have everything pulled together, so that I can click the conduit with the rifts of the map directly on top of it for maximum use of the kill streaks. Now, pulling is very easy on a Barb. All you gotta do is simply just like run around, drag enemies with your spear, and just keep up your buffs so you don't die using your band of might, your wrath, your berserker rage. So I get this question quite a lot in terms of your spear. Some people have questions about sometimes they can't pull mobs, and that will be because of diminishing returns. So basically that means that your spear counts as a crowd control, and you can only crowd control an enemy about 2 times before it becomes immune, which means that you gotta have a bit of a downtime period between pulling enemies. So that's why it's usually pretty good to pull an enemy 2 times and then reset, wait maybe like 4 or 5 seconds before trying to pull it again. Now I have made the pull, I immediately click the conduit, I jump into the pack as soon as I can, making sure that I get on the elites. I get my trishes out here. I'm trying to use my trishes as much as I can to kill them as well. And I want to finish off these packs for all the progression, and then we're going to move on. Now, we are decently ahead after the first map. It's not a whole lot, but it's fine for a start. Now, what I'm trying to do now is I want to try and keep my kill streaks, although I'm pretty unlucky and that doesn't happen. So my kill streaks reset, and I'm not in the best possible way, but what I still want to make sure is that I use the conduit as much as I can, which means killing as many enemies as I can, and getting some kill streaks in, even though I did reset my stacks. So I find this elite here, and I want to really finish it off using this conduit, and I also want to make sure that my stacks don't go too high. So what I'm trying to do is, I don't want to proc twisters here when there are 0 mobs. So what I want to do is I want to make sure it's just under, it's 95 right now, which means that the next pull I make, I can get twisters almost immediately. So that's really nice. It means that I only need to kill 5 enemies for me to get my kill streak. So I just need to make a big pull now, and of course also want to get this elite with me because it's already super low. Now this map, I have a pretty good mob type. I have small spiders, I have some bigger spiders, I have some impalers. The small spiders and the crawling guys are really good for just easy kill streaks. And also the spiders, like the big spiders and stuff, are pretty good for progression. Now on this map there are usually just a few rooms where you can actually make good pools. This is one of them. So what I want to make sure now is I make a really big pool, because I want to make sure that I get my twisters, I get 150, and I can kill as many mobs as I can using these kill streaks to really min-max them and maximize the damage I do with them. If you're playing this build as well, it's really important to not get too eager. It's way better to take your time to make the correct pulls, get everything together, than it would be to just blast immediately once you see a decent pull. Make sure you get everything together and that you have tons of mobs stacked directly on top of each other, and you should also have some elites in there to really use the kill streaks to your advantage. Now you see my triggers go out, I get 150, and I immediately also hit 200. So you see how this kind of pull works. Even though this map is not that amazing, I found this one room and I used it to my advantage. Now I'm at a pretty awkward number of stacks, so what I'm doing now is I'm pulling enemies to these twisters because I want to get closer to 300. If I can get closer to 300, that would help my next pull drastically, which means that I will be even closer to 300, so I can go directly from 300 to 400 and then 500. Now at this point, I'm taking a minute to pause the game and think for a second. I'm trying to find out what would be the best way to do this. I see that I need about 20% progression and I need about 200 stacks. So I'm trying to figure out, would I be able to spawn here? Would I be able to get the kill streaks that I need and also the progression that I need? So I'm trying to pull enemies with me for a little bit, just to see if I get another big room like that one, because it kind of depends on what layout I have. If I have a similar room we were just in, the big room, then I could probably do it, but I don't see it anywhere. So I try and move on to see if I get this big room, because there's no point in me pulling the mobs if I don't get the big room. I won't have the density I need if I don't have the big room. So I keep running through the map, hoping I get another big room, but here we find the exit, so I gotta go next map. Now this is where it takes a really dark corner. I get what I would describe as probably one of the worst maps in the game for Barb. For any pushing actually. It's almost impossible to pull enemies with you. And it's almost impossible to make the correct pulls where you can actually make, plus 100 or 200 mobs enemies in one pull. So what I'm trying to do now, I'm running through the map and I'm trying to find if I can find an area where I could actually make a good pull. Because so far I found areas where I won't be able to make the pool big enough. So I gotta keep moving forward and hope that either I get a new map or that I get a better area of this map, like an open room or something with large density. Now the mob type is actually not that bad. I see we have some bats. Now bats are pretty good for stacking, they're pretty good for following. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to get some of these bats with me, just in case I do find an area. Now I find an area that's actually pretty good. I have an open room here, but it's going to be quite difficult pulling the mobs through these doors, because I do want to combine the mobs in here with the rest of the mobs we found beforehand, so we get a decent pull here. Now again, I can't stress this enough, I am ahead of time quite a bit, so I need to make sure I take my time to really set up the pulls correctly. It is a lot better to take the 10-20 seconds extra to make sure that you have the extra mobs in there, so you get the kill streaks, you get the progression, everything you need. Don't get too excited, don't get too eager, although I know it's pretty difficult when you're pushing. So there are two options here. Either I can go directly from 290 up to 500, which means angels, or I gotta do a semi pull first, which means going from 290 to about 390 or so, which means that I gotta kill about 100 mobs in the pull. So it kind of depends on what I can find and if I can spawn directly. So the best thing for me right now would be if I could go from 290 all the way to 500 in one pull. Now I see that this bridge is gonna be impossible to pull things over, so I want to scout ahead and see what is on the other side of the bridge. Now I find this open room here, which is usually very good. You have an open room and you can usually get quite a bit of density here, and you also have the pit. And the pit you see back there has a lot of enemies. Now you see me checking the next floor. because this is not optimal. So if I had like a fish string or a battlefield or something, I would have gone explore, but I see that it's another cave map, so I go back here and I decide that I'm gonna try and see if I can make the pull happen here. Now, we learned from previous try that it's gonna be impossible to pull these things over the bridge. So what I wanna do now is I wanna make a pull here and kill these things. It will be very, very stupid to not kill this. And what I'm gonna try to do is I wanna get as close to 400 as I can. But it's pretty difficult, right? It's almost impossible to see if there's 90 mobs or 110 mobs. When you get to this kind of density, it's almost impossible. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to get a little bit of lucky, but I'm also trying to bank on my experience in terms of how many mobs I think there is here. So my hope is I can get to 300 kill streaks killing this, and then I would get close to 400. I don't want to hit 400, but I want to get really, really close, and I'm hoping that that's going to happen, and I don't actually hit over and go over 400, which would ruin this entire run here. Now I see my lightning rotation is coming up, so I know I'm gonna get the kill streaks here, and we have the big fire, and we get 393. Now that is really, really good, because we are super, super close, which means that I can probably make the pull here. Now hitting 393 was a mixture of experience from doing lots and lots of pull to see how many mobs there are, but also a bit of luck. It was a bit of luck getting that close and not hitting it. So what I gotta do now is I wanna make the pull where I can get the kill streaks that I need, so I need just over 100 kills. But I also wanna make sure that I get the progression, which means that I gotta get some packs in, I gotta get stuff together basically. And again, we see if you have lots of time to do this, so I want to really make sure that I get everything together here to really make sure that this pull is going to have everything. Now, I paused the game here for a second just to think, because I'm not sure if I have the kills that I need here, if I have enough mobs. So what I'm going to make sure is I want to go back and I want to see if I can get just a few more mobs with me over this bridge here. So even though the bridge is going to be really, really annoying to pull enemies over, I'm not confident that I have over 100 mobs in that pit area, so I want to get just a little bit more, because I have done plenty of pulls where I've literally been like 2 mobs short of actually hitting the 500, so I want to take a bit of time and see if I can get a few more mobs over to the pull with me, just so I don't get just under the kill streaks that I need. Now we have jumped a bit ahead just to skip some of me pulling the mobs over the bridge, because that's not really that exciting. So I'm now getting pretty ready for this pull here. I want to make sure everything is in here. I do pause again just to have a little bit of a look if I feel like this is enough. But I do also notice that I'm getting pretty low on time, so I do also need to make sure that I start killing relatively soon. Now, good thing is I only need about 5 kills to actually get the kill streaks, so I start killing here. I especially want to do lots and lots of damage on my lightning rotation, and then I can like pull a few more mobs in between, and then we'll be ready. So when we actually have the pull ready, the mobs will also be quite low. Now at this point, I believe I said, fuck it, we're gonna go for it, and I just started killing because I noticed we were running really low on time. So I started pumping out as much damage as I can using my rend, my manual rend, and just keeping my buffs up. Now we hit 400, meteors come out, I'm trying to kill as many mobs as I can, and we actually didn't hit it. But we got a few bats afterwards that made us hit it. So if you go back, you can actually see that I only get to about 490 with the pull, and then the bats that spawned after actually got me the rest that I needed. Now I get Perendy here, which is pretty bad. So all I want to make sure is I want to make sure that I'm on the opposite side of my angels at all times, because he has a slam, he has the rocks that fall down, and he spawns minions, and they can all hit them, and if they get hit once, the angels will die immediately. And there we have it, 147 down with the Barb. I was so surprised that it actually worked. After I saw map 2 and 3, I was pretty sure it was gonna be a fail, but we actually managed to pull through and do this, even though the third map was terrible. And yeah, I did get a bit of luck with the bat spawning afterwards, but overall this was a pretty average map, and the fact that I could clear 147 on it just showcases that you don't have to get double fish strings back to back to pull this. As long as you make the kill streaks really work for you, you are actually able to do this even on the average map. So even though this is not my best clear at all, I still wanted to show you guys this, just so you can get the picture that you don't need to get back-to-back fishing or battlefields to clear this. As long as you use the killstreaks correctly and you play the build correctly, you can actually still clear it, even on average maps. So if you guys found this video useful, if you did, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe for more future content. But that's about it for me. Have a great one, everybody, and I'll catch you next one. Peace out.